Worshipping women seems to be the default mode within Western civilization. So, if you're raised as a male, as a man in Western civilization, you're going to be trained in a certain way. You're going to accept certain beliefs and behaviors, demonstrate certain habits, and if you don't, you'll be punished. You'll be denied food, and you won't make it. And this is a traditional mindset. With traditional values, and don't think that you're going to get out of it. Don't think that you're going to go your own way at an early age because you're going to adopt the values of the culture and the society and the group with which you are raised. In order to get along and to get ahead in that society, and that is largely a traditional mindset, and that is worshiping the women. It's understandable because it's worshiping creation, and then this becomes what we associate with beauty and worthiness for the men. The men adore the women, they worship the women, they want to be with the women, they want to sacrifice to the women. This is like a biological thing for them. This is part of what motivates the men to transform the surface of the earth. This is why you have skyscrapers. This is why you have bridges. This is why you have the inventions, because the men want to create a world that is acceptable to the women, and they want to gain status within the group of women, so that they can have a mate. That's pretty obvious. Women's need to be able to compete with the men and to feel good about results. What you're doing is you're glorifying and making a virtue out of the woman's weakness, and this is the inversion of values. So now you've lifted the women up to the level of the men, but it's false. It's a lie. When you structure your society in this direction, the price you pay is that the men pedestaled the women and the female qualities, and the women just out of some sort of need of inflating their own ego in the social environment. Started making a virtue out of their weaknesses because you can't insult the woman and you can't find fault with the women. It's really terrible what's happening to free speech and the values that determine what's good, what's a virtue, what we want to pursue, and the students are running the school and they don't want to do any homework and you're being socially damaging to them. If you make them do homework, it's discrimination, so it's this constant placating to the weakness in pretending that everybody is average. You take away all of the qualities that make anybody exceptional. It's based on men wanting to please women, glorifying the weakness. It's like rewarding the students who do the least amount of work. So at the end, when it's time to graduate people who are supposed to be doctors and lawyers and engineers, they're incompetent. They can't do anything. Perhaps you're hearing this as a man, as a MGTOW, and you're thinking, well, that's good knowledge, thanks. This doesn't apply to me individually. This is, a societal trend. But it does apply to you and to me like a fish in water. This is the water in which we swim. These are the hunting grounds in which we sustain ourselves, and some of you might think I'm being unfair to the women, but understand that if you have a group of engineers who are building a rocket to go to Mars, and then you start letting women into their group as administrative assistants, and the women start to outnumber the men. They'll start to pretend that the most important thing within that group is taking care of everybody's feelings, and they will completely forget about building that rocket ship to Mars. What if you were experiencing that on a societal level? Well, everybody's pretty much the same, nobody's really better than anybody else, and we're just going to give everybody a passing grade and a diploma in brain surgery because we certainly wouldn't want to hurt anybody's feelings. Oh, you can't do your homework. We'll still give you a diploma. So do you see how this worshipping of the women, how wanting to make everybody happy and everybody equal, is a worship of weakness and it's maladaptive? You can see that nature itself and the environment itself is not like that. If you're not strong enough, and if you don't have the skills in the real world out in nature, then you don't survive. Nature does not work the worship way, but we being the tool builders the civilized society. That we are men, MGTOW, we can build it. We have built it. So now we're going to pretend that the women and the weak and the dependent and the stupid and the lazy are just as good as the strong, capable man. Being a man is an adaptive process of overcoming obstacles in the real world. So you understand how the man gets strong in dealing with reality, overcoming obstacles, and how this is the process of evolution. Only the strong survive. And then we become so strong that we can now control the environment and we come to worship sensuality, indulgence of material wants and needs. You can understand we've overcome the obstacles of the physical environment. That's how capable we are as men. As MGTOW, that's what we've done. With that now, as a species, we start to indulge and the values become inverted, worshiping those things which we find pleasure in and avoiding those things which are difficult. That is weakness. And so we become weaker and weaker in every aspect of our social life, of our political life, of our personal life. So the worship of women and the worship of weakness and the inversion of these values, it's the road to death. It's the road to destruction.